Agreed, guys. Good morning, guys.
Hey.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay, so on this video, this is going to be the second to last video that we've got going here on this section of this card game. So we're nearly working, and I've just decided to bump my projector where my screen can't see anything. Liam, can I ask you a favor? Do you mind just raising the board for me, please? Thank you. Yeah, so what we got here is we've got our card, we've got our deck, we've got our hand, we've got our table, and then we've got our GUI on this side here where we've got our frame and whatnot. Now, thanks. So what we've got here is we've got a computer player frame on this side, which is a scroll pane. Remember, you must make sure that there's a scroll pane there. So that if when there's more than that card, and I set the layout of this panel that I added into the card, the flow pane to be scrolled out, meaning as I add objects into there, it will allow us to it will move it across. Now, on here we've got our hand, and our hand has an array of cards. Now, how are we going to display an unlimited number of cards into our hand over here? So it's not always not just one. When we hit, we want to display a new one, a new one, a new one. We want to continuously display additional cards in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new. Now you'll see here what I can do is if I go to other and I go to swing Gui Components, so swing Gui forms, and these are Gui forms. I don't know if it's going to allow me to do it directly on that account, but it looks like it's not going to. So I'm going to teach you something that is a little bit. No, I'm actually going to leave it as we can. I'm going to leave it like so. If we added a label and added it, so now if I added a label to this, and then I set the icon of this label to be 0. I'm just going to do this in an easier way rather than a complicated way. I'm not going to use inheritance or anything like that. I'm just going to work with what we've got here. Technically, the best way to do it would be create a separate class which would inherit this, and we could work with the cards from there. But let's make it easier for now. Alright, so I'm going to go and we go to our card images, and then we would select, for example, whichever one. Okay, edit text to be blank. Okay. So now we've got this. Now, if we go to our source code and we go down to our generated code down here, you'll see that. Let me name this. I'm going to call this LBL test. So as we're going to check what's happening. Now, you'll see firstly it created a field called LBL test. So for example, if I now go Control F LBL test, you'll see there that it goes is equal to new javax.swing.label 1. Now the second thing you'll also see, so let's just continue on this. You'll see it sets the icon, which we also learned, and you'll see that hand.add LBL test. So it's adding a panel hand to our test, and then it repacks it. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow a similar sort of strategy where whenever we want, we're going to create a new label and we are going to set the icon. So now when we start the game, for example, we're wanting to create a new instance of a new label, and we want to add the label to the frame. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to now, when we click Start Game, our game should have been started. We then should add the labels that need to exist. So the first thing we're going to need to know is we need to get the cards that the user has. So I'm going to go back into my table, and we now need to return or to get the player's cards. So we got here, we got at the top there, we've got a public get player value, which will get the total value of the player's cards. But now we actually need to get an array of get player cards. And this will get all the players' cards that they have in their hand. Sorry, card should be a capital C. So we are going to return an array of the players' cards. And literally on there, we can just return directly sorry, on this note, we want to actually return the player's cards. That would be from the hand. And if we wanted to return this one, so I'm going all the way back through my loops. So now I'm working with the hand of the player. So now the player has this physical hand of cards that he is working with. So this is his hand. Now at the moment it's up to 15, but it might only be 5 cards, it might only be 3. We don't know how many cards it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to say public card array get cards from here as well, and on this we want to return their cards. Now we're going to create a new card array temp is equal to, so we are creating a card array. We're not going to create it as big as the one that's here. There's also a way okay, it's not going to work. Okay, never mind, I was just thinking if we could potentially .copy or something to get a copy of it. Okay, we'll leave it doing it this way. Okay, return cards. We're going to create a temporary card array. And now we're only going to set it up to size of num cards. So in other words, if only the user only has 2 cards, it's only going to create a temporary array of size 2. We are then literally going to loop through our cards, and we are going to put it into our position temp. Now there's if you guys Google, I'm sure there's a way to copy an array using the array class. However, array class is usable in your guys' project. So for example, there's an option of array dot, sorry, not array index out of bounds. If you go array dot, there's an option of copy, or there's different methods that you can use inside there. Now I'm not going to work with this. 1, because I've never really worked with this, but 2, because in an exam or anything, you're not allowed to use classes like that to help you. So in this case, I'm just looping through my array, and all I'm going to do is inside my temp, I'm going to make equal to cards position I. So all I'm doing is I'm transferring my hand, which has got a size of 15, to exactly the size that I want it to be, and then I'm literally just going to return the temp. So now I'm creating a method that will turn an array of cards. Now in my table, I would then just need to return player hand dot get cards, and that would then return the hand of cards. So in my GUI now, after I start the game, we know that it's initialized our components, and we now want to add cards to the display. Now one of the things I copied was this .set icon and so forth. Now, so we know we're going to create a couple of labels. Now we could create a whole bunch of labels up here and work with them over here, but your choice on this, and we're going to need to loop through them. Or we can just directly work with them here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say card array t is equal to tman dot get player cards. So this is going to get the cards that we need to do with it. And we know we'll now need to loop through my t dot length. So in other words, the size of the array. So we're now looping through exactly like we would loop up until num cards. We're looping through our array of cards. Now every single card we want to create a new label and add it to there. So I'm going to say j label LBL card is equal to new j label. So that's just me creating string text. It's going to be blank. So I just use my parameters. So the same thing as we initialize. Remember, this is you declare an instance. We j label, we call it LBL card, and we initialize it using the fully parameterized constructor. Now from there, I am then going to follow this, what I've done down here, and I'm just going to go now. So LBL card dot set icon to be set image. Now it's not going to be 10c.jpg. It's going to be plus, what is our card's name? It would be LBL card is reachable. It will be t position I dot get picture. So we're looping through our array of cards, and then we're going to add it to our LBL card to our hand test. Now I'm going to delete this image from here, so we don't have this one here. And this should technically work. We would then redo this on when it came to a hit. So what I'm going to do is the exact same thing when the user hits. You would obviously have to check if this works first. But what we would need to do now is we would need to make sure that we clear the panel first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go pan hand dot clear dot remove all, meaning that now it will start from the beginning to remove the panel which is this panel here, will remove all contents of an edit. Now, I know I've gone through this a bit quickly, but I will help you guys if it is. Now you see there we've got errors here, so obviously something's not working, and the first thing it's doing is it's saying null pointer exception, which means that something hasn't been initialized. So if I go to my hand, it's here where it's getting get value, it's not working, so meaning that cards at position I was not initialized, so my cards was not coming through. Strange enough, I thought that so it's called from table, and it's called then from Gui over here. Okay, so it's happening before, so when you click start game, it should have initialized our cards, we should have added cards into there. Okay, so now we just need to problem solve and try to see what the reason behind our error is. So we are going to problem solve. Some of you at home might have already picked up what I did wrong, but we will at home or at class. Okay, so we've got our player hand, our cards have been added. When we get the value of our player hand, it is called throwing the error. So it's over here that it's throwing the error. The cards are to get value. So num cards is equal to 0. We then loop up until num cards plus plus. So now, as I said to you, one of the easiest ways to work with this is to print out. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to, in my my table, after I start my game, I am going to I created a player hand.toString, so I'm going to start player hand, because we're not working with a computer hand at the moment, so I'm not going to look into that, but plus toString, sorry, is equal to player hand.toString. Okay, so we shall see what the player hand says it is, and then I'm going to go to where the actual error is occurring, which is in the get value, and I'm just going to say I'm here, so start in get value, and then here I'm going to okay, so we'll work with that there. So let's see what happens here. So we press play, we try it again, and we then will go start game. Okay, so here it is. Now the exception has been pointed before it's even initialized the actual cards. So you see it doesn't even run over here under my table. It says, sorry, let me go back to my table start game. I should have actually run this method, but it's not printing that, which means it's running before it even prints that. It says a null pointer exception, which means it's running this toString prior this cards prior to even actually needing it, prior to being initialized. Because table start game should initialize my cards or add cards to the hand. So we need to look here. So when I press start game, the first thing it does is tman.startGame. So table manager.startGame should add the deck of cards to there. Get random card. Okay, so now I get random card. That will choose a random card and it would deal with this. It might be happening in my random card that I'm not actually initializing my cards, because this method I did update recently to try and make sure that I would not get it. So maybe it's not actually even initializing my cards correctly. And this was done in the last video, so I need to try and fix this error if the recursion wasn't working properly. Meaning that if it's a temp card, might get null over here. So let's see, this earlier error occurred, so it looks like it's getting something wrong that I did previously on this. So grade 11s, you have got work to do. I will come around and help you if you need it, but you do need to work. Please not get so loud. Okay, so on this note, when we initialize our hands, it is not working at the moment. Let's get random card, it does not look to be working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and temp cards random 0i, and I'm going to write there start temp plus temp dot toString. Okay, now if temp is available, it's true, so now I'm going to include in my card is an available that I did in my last GUI. In my toString I'm going to add the fact that okay, So it says, so now should, when we initialize the cards, when you press start game, so I'm going to run and I press start game, 3 of spades available is equal to false. Okay, so it looks like what's happening is all of them have been initialized to being false when it should be initialized to being true. And I think what it is that I only initialized the default constructor available to be true. I didn't initialize in my fully parameterized constructor, and I didn't initialize in my partially parameterized constructor. So I think a lot of the error had to be that I initialized all cards to be false, which means I would have set it to be null. That was a bit stupid. So in other words, on my constructors, I didn't make sure that all my fields were initialized. Second time I've been making the mistake in this one series. So I'm teaching you the importance of initializing your variables. Okay, on here, we now try start game now. Okay, so now available is true. Temp is 11 of clubs, available true, available true, available true. Now here it's already got a null pointer exception before we even initialized all of them. So it looks like it is my deck handling, which was the recursion that was going pear-shaped. So perhaps I should go back from being a recursion just to solving it another way. It doesn't look like the cards are being initialized correctly, because the hand... Okay, so it looks like it's our get random card in our deck that is not working. So it's this here that is causing issues. So I'm just going to leave it and start again. Now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to say while, so I'm going to firstly say int count is equal to 0. I'm going to say while so I'm going to say while count temp dot is available, while temp is, so it's not available, so I'm going to say while temp is not available and count is less than or equal to num cards. And if that is the case, so while that, then I'm going to return temp so meaning we're going to random card it in here. If that means that it's not available, I'm going to say temp is equal to a new random card if open brackets temp dot is available true. If it's not true, then I want to increment count, and then we'll go back and we'll loop through it again. So this is just another way of getting that. I know in the last video I was showing you a bit of recursion in here, but this is this alternative method that I was referring to, and we need to make sure that these cards handle correctly. So I'm even thinking I would like to sort of get rid of some of the code that we did now, and I should have tested that in my last program to make sure my cards were working correctly. So I'm not trying to deal with this problem while still having other components in here. But I do think now, if I press start game, let's see what's happening. Okay, so now it looks like it's working better. We've got our two cards here. We've got a queen and we've got an 8. So it looks like it was my initialize my cards that was going pear-shaped. My get random card method was malfunctioning. So now let's see if hit works. Hit works. So my value goes up to 23. Hit, 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 hit. And you'll see the reason why I have a scroll pane here, so eventually when I get too long. Now there will be a stage now when I get over my number of cards, which I haven't done yet actually. But if I eventually hit, it takes a little longer to find a card that hasn't been used. But eventually we'll get to a point where it hasn't got a card or any more cards. And I would have to handle that in the fact that if there was a null, I would need to handle that somewhere. And I haven't actually handled it yet. But I'm going to put that into another video. Right now, we have got our GUI working. Just to show you again. So when I say start game, the user will get 2 cards. They've got a value of 3. Now I understand also ace can mean 10 or 11. Sorry, 1 or 11. But yeah, that's going to be another problem for another day. But you'll see when as soon as we click hit, it will add an additional value, and our display is now working where our cards are getting added as we get our hand. So yeah, so this is now just getting our GUI function working a bit better, where we can have a deck of cards in our hand. It's not the prettiest of things, but it's pretty cool. And our value gets along the side. And then when we click stand, we would want it to work and we would want a betting area to be here, and we need to get our computer player working. So in the next video we'll get our computer hand working, we'll get a bit more of the game functionality working, but on here we have done now our GUI. Yeah, sweet. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.